Politics and certainly civil liberties sometimes make strange bedfellows. As Judge Jesse Furman in New York, who is an Orthodox practicing Jew, has put a stop for now to the deportation of a Columbia University graduate student, green card holder, Muhammad Khalil, one of the leaders of the pro-Palestinian and pro-Hamas anti-Israel movements on campus. This in light of Donald Trump and Marco Rubio and Homeland Security ordering that ICE agents break down the door of Muhammad Khalil's apartment he shares with his American pregnant wife and whisked him away to Louisiana, of all places. His lawyers quickly filed a writ. Judge Furman wants everybody in his courtroom in 2 days' time, and I break it down for you all here on Legal AF. Let's get down to Muhammad Khalil. Let me start by saying I'm not here to defend Muhammad Khalil's freedom of speech. I don't side with his view. I am on the opposite side of his view. But I will defend his civil liberties and his civil rights and his due process rights in our country, not to be arrested without appropriate following of our constitutional policies, legacies, and procedures, period. It's easy for Donald Trump and Marco Rubio to say out loud that they're going to be revoking the green cards of people who protested against Israel. However, there is a process. There's historical precedent. There's a law that requires that it go through a due process through an administrative law judge, immigration judge, before the revoking happens. But when they burst through the door of Muhammad Khalil's apartment on Columbia University housing, by the way, it wasn't hard to find him. He's very public. When they burst through the door and took him away, the ICE agents there and executing the arrest warrant said that they were revoking his student visa, to which he said, I don't have a student visa. I have a green card. They said, well, we're revoking that too, because that's what Marco Rubio said. But that's not how that works. We don't do street justice where the ICE serves as judge, jury, and executioner related to immigration policy, at least not the world that I grew in. Now, why is he in Louisiana? Well, that's a very interesting question. Let's just put it this way. Donald Trump, knowing that Columbia University exists in New York, knowing that New York court systems and the federal judges there are usually Democratic president appointed, knowing that the Second Circuit Court of Appeals in New York is more liberal than not, wanted to get him about as far away from that as possible. Where could they send him? So apparently he started being processed in Elizabeth, New Jersey, but according to the Columbia student newspaper, is now, and I believe them, is now in Louisiana within a night flight within 24 hours. Why? Because they expected that if any lawyer was going to file a writ of habeas corpus or a writ to have the prisoner or the petitioner presented in the court, they'd rather have it in red state Louisiana up to red state alt-right Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which also covers Texas. Get it? So now you got this battle, jurisdictional battle. Jesse Furman, the judge, who, as I mentioned at the top of the hot take and only a New York moment, is a practicing Jewish person who takes off for the Sabbath and Shabbat and Jewish holidays. He said, stop. I'm going to block the deportation from now, because I don't want my jurisdiction to go out the window if he ends up going out the country. He didn't say keep him in New York. I don't know if it was brought to his attention by that moment that he's in Louisiana, but he's going to require that the lawyers show up in his courtroom for a conference on Thursday to discuss this matter and to file a status report by tomorrow at 5 o'clock about whether we need a conference or we need a briefing schedule. In the meantime, he ordered that Muhammad Khalil stay in America. And so he's stuck in limbo now. Somebody's going to make the motion on the Trump side. I see it coming, that the court doesn't have jurisdiction over him because he's now in Louisiana, and it's for a Louisiana federal judge to handle this matter, not the New York federal judge. And it's going to be up to the lawyers to convince the federal judge here that he does have jurisdiction under the case law, that you can't purposefully put him outside of the jurisdiction in order to try to divest, at least in the states, try to divest the federal judge of jurisdiction in the ultimate example of forum shopping. And I don't think it's going to sit well with the Supreme Court ultimately if that issue came up, that they whisked him off to Louisiana because they wanted to get him out from New York. So what's going to happen next? First of all, who is Muhammad Khalil? He was one of the lead negotiators of the Gaza Solidarity Encampment. Remember that tent city that showed up on Columbia University's campus, and dozens of other campuses occupying the university. It led to many university presidents being canned, including the one at Columbia. The new Columbia president is already obeying the Donald Trump, who just a couple of days ago took away a $400 million grant to Columbia, saying, well, he's probably right about that. We had some problems there, as Donald Trump tries to play pro-Israel, pro-Jewish. I mean, his posting about the arrest yesterday of Muhammad Khalil before he sent him off to Louisiana and authorized that, said, Shalom, Mohammed, sort of a troll of the guy, because that's not how you say hello or goodbye in Arabic. But the reality is that Muhammad Khalil is a green card holder, married to an American wife, apparently, who's 8 months pregnant, and he has rights. I may not agree with what he's saying in his First Amendment expression, but I believe in his right to say it. And that's where civil liberties and civil rights come in. And I believe in our justice system and in the power of the federal judge to use his inherent authority to make sure that I wake up tomorrow in a world where people don't end up being whisked away in the middle of the night, sent to Louisiana, thrown in the back of a plane, and then, just parachuted into, I would hope, into the country that they think he came from, and leaving his pregnant American wife behind. I don't want to live in that country. First Amendment rights exist for a reason. Constitutional protections belong to all people, including non-citizens and green card holders. You want to revoke it, you want to put on evidence that I don't know about before a judge in an adversarial process as the Trump administration, go right ahead. But you got to do it in a court system. We're not going to let ICE be the ICE officers be judge, jury, and executioner of our civil liberties and our immigration policy, are we? I hope not. Judge Jesse Furman is going to get to the bottom of it. He's a liberal. He's a Democrat. He's Jewish. But at the stake here is civil liberties. That's why some people might be uncomfortable when the American Civil Liberties Union protect the rights of Nazis to march down, the hometown of a large majority of Nazi survivors or Holocaust survivors. But that is part of, even the unsavory, even the uncomfortable is part of our soapbox, our marketplace of ideas, even if I don't agree with them, especially in a student setting. And it's not like this guy was hiding. He wasn't like Saddam Hussein. Or any of these guys they had to pull out by his toenails. He was in Columbia University housing. I may not agree with Muhammad Khalil, but again, I agree with his right to say it and not risk deportation because Donald Trump wants to make a political theater out of him. I'll continue to follow it all right here on Legal AF. Hit the blue subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. Help us to our march to 500,000. We will continue to be vigorous. We will continue to be rigorous, and we will continue to be independent here on Legal AF. So until my next reporting, I'm Michael Popok. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok Firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, We don't get paid unless you do. The Popok firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.